Introducing Royal Caribbean's newest ship, Icon of the Seas, the ultimate family vacation. The ultimate 6 slides, 8 neighborhoods, 0 compromise vacation. The ultimate never done that, can't wait to do it vacation. The ultimate chillin' by a different pool every day of the week vacation. This is the Icon of vacations. Icon of the Seas, arriving in 2024. Book today. Come seek the Royal Caribbean. Ships Registry, Bahamas.
Welcome to Missing the Point. I'm Joe Malkin. He's Rayshawn Buchanan, and we're alone time. We're doing this solo. We have no rules without Dad here. There is no Craig tonight as we are recording on our own, so we'll see if this works. It did the last time we did it, so it should this time. But welcome in to Missing the Point. Our episode this week with Ray and I it's an interesting one because for the first time in a long time, Ray and I have disagreed on a lot of things this week. In terms of football and as we just learned in the world of the Boston Celtics. So Ray, let's talk about week 13 of the NFL because, Dave's been saying it for a while. Bobby's kind of echoed it. And I think we're all on board that this has been one of the most exciting NFL seasons in a very long time. And not just from a Patriots standpoint, just in general, the storylines, whether good or bad, it's been, whether we're talking about the Detroit Lions or the Houston Texans or Mac Jones, Tom Brady, it's Aaron Rodgers, Ben Roethlisberger. Now it's just been a fun season as, it's interesting as a new age of quarterback is starting to emerge in the NFL and some of the older guys are getting phased out, except for Tom Brady. Again, timeless Tom. So, Ray, let's talk about the New England Patriots because our New England Patriots now sit atop the AFC after their 14-10 Monday Night Football win over the Buffalo Bills. And it's almost like to you this was a loss, which is funny because it wasn't. Obviously, you said after the game it was a huge win. This is gigantic. Sean McDermott was out coached, blah, 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 all this other stuff. But during the game, you were... You were like Bobby watching a Cowboys game. It was stressful.
Yeah, it's the same. That's why I was laughing at you opening it up because I was just like, man, I was so I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I said, yo, like Earl Campbell's not walking through this door. Franco Harris is not walking through this door. Larry Zonka is not walking through this door. John Riggins is not walking through this door. The guy I couldn't remember, Otis Anderson. Otis Anderson. That's the finally. I got him, Dave. I got him.
Yeah, we got it. Hey, Dave, we want that point.
Yeah. Give us a point. These guys are walking through the door. So I said, yo, you have 48 plays on offense and you run 97% of the time. I just figured at some point, I'm like, yo, like you have to at least, can we get a screen? Like, I know Kevin Falk and James White are not there. I get it. It's just not that error, but it's like, my God, like you just get a 6-yard pass, but hey, I was proven wrong. And I've never been happier to be proven wrong.
I want to go back. I wish I screenshotted the conversation we were having during the game just to read the back and forth transcript between us because it was wild.
No, I know obviously we have so many messages today in our group chat, but no, I was just like, yo, like this is not next 75. Like you cannot just keep running and keep running and keep running. But then, I wrote this in the group chat, like it was amazing. It really seemed like the 2014 AFC Championship game. Now, obviously that was a blowout and, we was at home. LeGarrette Blount was just doing whatever he wanted to do. That day, really, whoever touched the ball, but they was doing whatever they wanted. But 4 rushing touchdowns that day. That's what this game was reminiscent of, just without the, the massive touchdowns. I loved that Damian Harris was the guy that scored it. I am, even though, you and I are Stevenson guys, like
give me Damian Harris every day of the week.
Yeah, I was on the Harris bandwagon, so I was like, yeah, let's go. So I was pleased to see that he had 100 yards. I was pleased to see that Stevenson had a great game. But because I know there's still so many Mac Jones haters out there, I just wanted him to at least have 100 yards. And I know it doesn't matter to the outside world. That's just it's a personal thing, because if someone said it to me on Facebook yesterday, which is true, it was like, there's no way Brady would have threw it 3 or 4 times. There's no way. There's no way.
I was just gonna kind of rebut what you were saying, and you just segued into it of the worst thing that happened to Mac Jones, and it would have been the way it was with any quarterback in New England.
Right.
The worst thing is that they came after the 20-year legacy of Tom Brady.
Right.
And no, you can look back at the 2001 season, and it's interesting. I heard somebody make a comparison or come say something the other day that we have to compartmentalize and separate the fact that this team is not like the 2001 team, but the feelings of the fans around the team is what it felt like in 2001. Right. And I'll say it till the cows come home. Mac Jones is not Tom Brady. Tom Brady is not Mac Jones. There's not a guy in front of Mac Jones that's going to get knocked out by Mo Lewis on the sideline, and then he's going to have to come in, and there's going to be no expectations. Unfortunately, there's every single expectation on Mac Jones. So the haters are going to sit here and say these things. Well, Brady wouldn't have done that, and Brady wouldn't have done this. Well, nope, probably not, because Brady had a different skill set than Mac Jones, and that's not a bad thing. It's not necessarily a good thing in all phases. But it's still a Bill Belichick coach team. And the way Bill Belichick coached that team and coached circles around Sean McDermott, except for one mistake, which we'll talk about in a minute, he coached circles around McDermott and knew exactly what he was doing. And he threw off McDermott's game plan defensively because he thought that they were going to at least throw the ball a little bit. And they didn't. And they just pounded the rock, and they just kept going into the defensive line, which that defensive front seven, I mean, that's a good defense. That's a very good defense. Even without who are they missing? Tre'Davious White. Even without him, that is still a very good defense. And Bill did exactly what he needed to do. Sean McDermott always gets his knickers in a bunch when the Patriots go up to Buffalo. He always seems to just have a bad day. Win or lose, he just seems like he had a bad day. And I don't know if it's just the adrenaline or what it is. But back to the Mac Jones, Tom Brady thing. Mac Jones is not Tom Brady. He's never going to be Tom Brady. He's going to be Mac Jones. Right. And if he can win a game as an NFL quarterback, completing 2 of 3 passes for 19 yards, more power to him. Power to him. I mean, he's still the quarterback. He still had to run the offense. I mean, we look at some of these college teams that have been and are successful running the wing T or the triple option, and it works. And that was a modified triple option wing T offense. And Mac wasn't even running. I think he rolled out twice, once on the screen and once on the other pass to the sideline to Aguilar that was incomplete. His only incompletion of the night. Remember that. Only incompletion of the night. So, it's so interesting to watch that game, because the back and forth you and I had going, and I was sitting with Craig and we were watching the game, and we're both like, wow, Ray's really he's really wound up. And it's like, yeah, throw the ball. But what was amazing to me is that, one, they scored that touchdown, because they didn't expect to score that touchdown. But the moment Damian Harris broke that run and scored, the game was over. And I know you didn't think so at the time, and I didn't either, but I said it to you on Twitter afterwards when you said if they threw the ball, they could have had this game locked up earlier. I think they had it the moment Damian Harris crossed that goal line, because I don't think either coach expected it. I don't think any of the fans expected it. In attendance or sitting on either one of our couches. I didn't expect it. He took off, and then that was it. And then you have the second best kicker in the league. As long as Justin Tucker's in the league, Nick Folk can be number.
We feel,
right. Only jersey I would buy right now is Justin Tucker, for myself anyway. But it was over at that point, and it was just it was such a weird game to watch, because it was a lot of fun. And it wasn't bad football. Everybody's like, well, it's bad football. No, that's good football. That's fun football. Because Bill Belichick, that's exactly the type of game plan that they try and run on a weekly basis. And it worked.
Yeah, I mean, well, and I wanted to go back, because you brought up something about you saying that there's no one in front of Mac Jones to have like a Mo Lewis moment. Is it fair to say that the Mo Lewis moment came when they, released Cam? And it was just like, okay, now it's on you, buddy. We're not going to have someone there that's behind your shoulder. It's like, now it's on you. You got to deliver. And, really outside the Saints game, he has. The Saints game was the worst game of the year, obviously, on all fronts, not just offensively, defensively. They just sucked. Mr. Crabblers came in here and just did whatever he wanted. But yeah, I mean, I have to say, I have to be transparent. I definitely contradicted myself. I think I said it in the chat. I said, why don't we go back and do what we used to go against what people thought we were going to do. And you just said it, right? You said people they thought they was going to pass. Usually it was okay. It's windy. Like, yeah, throw it all over the field. See if you can go, 20 of 30 for even 250, a touchdown, and call it. That's what I thought was going to happen. Right. They win against the Great, like you said. Once Damian Harris broke, which really was the same play that Tennessee ran against us the week before, right? Or 2 weeks ago, and just ran through the middle. It was like, oh, okay, well, wait a minute. Well, if that happened here, maybe we could do this up there. And it literally was, sweet. That's the only time Jesse, Josh, I wasn't Jesse, it was Tasai formation, and he scored. So yeah, but at the end of the day, like I said, I'm happy with the win. Like I said, I don't know if they're still the best team in the NFL. Like I said, we'll get into that when we discuss Bobby's power rankings, but it's just, I just think that everything has fallen right for them, kind of like it did in 2001 when, certain things you just thought, I was okay, well, can they beat Pittsburgh? Can they do this? Can they do that? And they just kept finding a way. I will say this is the biggest signature win, and I think I got a little drunk with it, right? When you smack the Jets, you smack Cleveland. And once again, we can say we will about Cleveland, not Cleveland being Cleveland. On paper,
it's a good football team.
Cleveland's a very good team with or without whoever was on the field. Like they are a very good team, especially defensively. And we got wherever we wanted. The Chargers got smacked around, Tennessee got smacked around, Atlanta got shut out. So, like, to me, I was expecting, and me and Mike said it. I was like, yeah, they'll win in Buffalo, but I wasn't expecting that. I was thinking, like, okay, we come in there, kind of like the Monday night game a couple years ago when McCourty clicked them off and ran it back. That's what I was expecting. I was expecting that type of. And I was like, he almost had him. Adrian Phillips almost had him at the end, but I'm just glad that they knocked it down and it was game over. But I was just being greedy. I wanted dominance, and I said that a few times. I just wanted dominance, and it was dominant.
I was gonna say it was dominant. Well, and that's the thing. You look at the game, and I mean, obviously, Buffalo is a. I called them a wagon in the preseason. They're 7-5, so they've got a broken wheel. But that's a good football team, man. But
sure
they're being exposed. And we talk about the mastery of Bill Belichick. We've talked about it for so many years, whether it was on the radio when we were in college or now, or just through social media over the years. And some people, you're a homer. No, Bill Belichick is a master. He just exposed the entire Buffalo Bills coaching staff, Buffalo Bills team. He's got Sean McDermott in a tizzy. He doesn't know what to do with himself. And Josh Allen is a very good quarterback. He's kind of like Ricky Vaughn from Major League. He can throw the shit out of the ball, but he doesn't know where it's going, kind of thing. He's also my fantasy quarterback. Still got me 14 points on Monday Night Football. I was going to lose anyway. I was down like 40 going into the game. But
same.
Yeah, right. But it was masterful and it was dominant. And ever since that loss to Dallas and Bill took over the play calling on defense, it's been a completely different feel on both sides of the ball. And I keep saying it to everyone, and I'll say it to all the listeners. Bill took the leash off of the team, and he said, go. This is our game plan. You all understand it. Let's go run it. Let's go play some football. And they're having fun. They don't look stiff. Even Mac Jones, just in his press conferences, go back and listen to a press conference from like week 2 after the win against the Jets. And then go and listen to the win against Buffalo where he threw for 19 yards. The kid's just having fun. They're having fun.
Yeah.
And it's not supposed to be fun to play for Bill Belichick. But right now, when you're on a 7-game winning streak and you're atop the AFC, you're the number 1 seed in the AFC when you were 2-4. Anthony Treesh, we talk about it so many times. He predicted them to have 4 or 5 wins. They've more than doubled it. They've doubled that 4-win total. Mike says it too all the time that he was playing it safe. And at that point, it was a safe bet because, we've seen what Cam Newton has done now in Carolina. He's clearly not the guy he was when he first got here even. So, it just, yeah, this is kind of all tying it back to like what you said about that being his Mo Lewis moment with Cam Newton getting cut. Yeah, I would probably say so, but I've said it from the beginning. I think they knew they were going with Mac Jones when they drafted him. And I think that through camp and the preseason, they realized that was the right choice. And they said, well, this kid can play. This kid's smart. He's an intelligent quarterback. He's had private quarterback coaches since he was 8 years old. This kid's not messing around. That's 15 years of having private quarterback coaching. And now he's playing for the best coach in arguably NFL history. Sure, there's a lot of really good coaches that have coached in the NFL, but right now, Bill's probably the top of the list. But yeah, I'm with you. It was weird because we were saying the same thing, but I was like, don't throw the ball because you make a mistake. And it was about letting them make the mistakes. And at the end of the day, they did. And I got to tell you, why can't I think of Brian's first name? The DB, 41.
Miles Bryant.
Miles Bryant. He's a good football player. Like, he is a role player defender. Like, he came in a big spot and played his position perfectly. And granted, the defensive line, the front seven, has played outstanding. Barrymore has been more than he right now might be the best draft pick from this year's draft for the Patriots. And that's over Mac Jones. Like, he might be the best draft. Stevenson has been very good.
I would say most important. Maybe not the best, but most important.
Sure. I think that the way that he and Judon kind of play off each other, I think that just lends itself to greatness. And Adrian Phillips has been playing outstanding. Matthew Judon is just a man. He is a man amongst boys. I mean, he is just outstanding. And I'm so happy. I was scared when Mike asked Karen Garrigan about him being a Dalius Thomas. And I'm just so happy he's playing football and he's having a good time.
He's been nothing like that. Like he's been more like Alder Smith before
he got arrested again today.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was just like, wow. Yeah, that's what he's been more like. And I'm thankful because like I said, we needed a Chandler Jones type guy up front, and now they have that. Hightower's returned to form. Thank God. I'm rocking the other 54, the original 54, Teddy Bruschi.
I made a comparison real quick to Hightower, because just to kind of to play devil's advocate off of your Hightower take there. He looked slow and old to me the other night.
Yes, the other night, but as of late, he's been better, thankfully.
And I compared him to Gerard Mayo at the end of his career. And quickly, Craig kind of half corrected me and was like, well, Gerard Mayo had a lot of injuries at the end of his career. I said, true. I said, Hightower had an injury, but he was also out last year. He chose not to play during the COVID season. And I see so many comparisons where he had such a tough time covering the running backs for Buffalo. And really the only one that's actually speedy is Matt Breida. I mean, Zach Moss and Devin Singletary they're not speedsters. And he was getting beat to the edge, and not on run plays, just on pass plays. He was just getting beat, and Allen was able to find him in the flat. But I agree with you. He's looked better. He's such a leader that he makes up for his deficiencies in the pass game.
Yep. Him and McCourty. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, listen, even Mills has been somewhat serviceable. I mean, I've talked about wanting him not even getting on the bus after certain games, but he's gotten better. Like I said, Miles Bryant has been great. Think about the early years, right? So guys like Eugene Wilson, so Bucky Jones,
Earthwind Moreland.
Yeah. Wow. You know what I'm saying? So it's like there's just so many, so many names also that we can give, but that's how he's patching that together. And, obviously, I missed Gilmore and I wanted Gilmore because I think I can only imagine how much better they would have been with Gilmore and Jackson there with Judon doing this. Like, my God, we may be instead of 9-4, maybe 11-2. Who knows? They probably win the Dallas game. They probably win, they probably win the Tampa game too, honestly. Going back at that. So, but either way, like I said, there's no way if any of us saw 7 in a row, we're lying. But I'm happy, glad, as my grandmother would say, the word happy, glad. I'm happy, glad that they're on this streak and that they're playing this brand of football. And, just to pump the chest a little bit, And Craig, when you do this, this could be the soundbite, one of the sound bites. So the listeners out there that don't like New England, I have to say this: just when you thought it was safe, just when you thought it was safe to say that it was over, that you couldn't, that the dynasty was over, just like that, these motherfuckers are back.
And they don't have to win the Super Bowl for it to be proven, because if they go into the playoffs as the 1 seed, coming off a 7-9 season, it'll all be right again. And I've heard this, and I've said this so much of the Buffalo Bills thought they had it. They thought the run was over. That was it. It was done. Tom Brady's gone. Patriots are done for. Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. And I'm like, to me, and I mean, we didn't touch on it, but I will. This is a good segue into this. Poyer and Micah Hyde's responses let me know they're rattled. They're rattled. If they were rattled, I'm not granted. The media guys. Yeah, I know what I'm saying, but I'm saying those are the ones that answer. So I mean, I figure like they're the pulse of the team. So I just felt like even McDermott, like they're rattled. So even though I think they'll come in here and win in a few weeks, like after hearing what they said. No, I'm saying well, that's what I thought before. I said we'll win up there because I think we've been phenomenal on the road. And just a quick aside, I always think about something I heard the legend Isaiah Thomas, not Celtics legend, but Pistons legend Isaiah Thomas. Chuck Daly asked him a long time ago when they won their back-to-back rings in '89 and '90. He said, how does everyone feel about winning how does everyone feel about just winning one game? Like, I'm paraphrasing, but basically they all felt that, game on the line, they could win one game. So he basically said, okay, cool. Home court doesn't matter to us. Nope. Just put us in there anyway. And that's what's happening here. They're winning on the road. So if they were to drop to 5, like a media host was hoping that they did, so he could talk shit about it today. It didn't happen. But they've proven great teams win on the road. So if they did drop to 2 because Kansas City or someone else catch a spy, I'm not worried that they can go on the road and get one anywhere. Even though their first game would be at home, obviously. But yeah, the divisional round or AFC Championship game, if they're to get there, I'm not. I was more worried about them winning at Gillette, honestly, until recent.
Well, yeah, after the first,
but I was like, oh my god, yeah, I was nervous about that. But yeah, Buffalo definitely looks rattled, and I'm not sure. Like Brian Flores might get them next week too. Like that's not a far fetched.
Well, they're at Tampa next week.
Oh, Tampa. Okay, I don't know why I thought they was at.
So they have 5. That's a good segue. They have 5 games left. They have 5 games left, 3 of which are at home, 2 of which are on the road. The 3 home games they have: December 19th against the Panthers, January 2nd against the Falcons, and January 9th against the Jets. Now, if the Buffalo Bills play like the Buffalo Bills, they should win those 3 games.
Right, easily.
But now the Jets have been sneaky. The Jets have been weird the last few weeks because Robert Saleh is not going to lay down to anybody. Nope. I like him so much, and I think the Jets are going to be all right eventually. The Falcons are streaky. They can be good and bad. The Panthers are done. I mean, the Panthers started off hot, but without Christian McCaffrey, and if they can't figure out the quarterback situation down there, they have completely mismanaged that quarterback situation. It's an absolute S show. But the last 2 away games of the season are at Tampa and at New England. And that's dangerous because the way Sean McDermott, like you just said, he's rattled. I have been of the mind of I'm not going to sit here and root for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers because Tom Brady is there. Like I'm just not going to do that. Like I don't mind seeing him do well. Like great, they won the Super Bowl. He's the best quarterback of all time.
Right.
Love you, mean it. Whatever.
Right.
But I hope Tampa puts up 45 on Buffalo this week. I want to see him put up 45 on Buffalo and I don't care if it ends 45-44. I just want to see Buffalo get beat because you're right. He is rattled. And now he just had to play the professor and now he's got to go play the greatest of all time.
Yeah. Yeah. It don't get any easier. And like I say, now that Gronk is back, and that's the key. People can talk about what happened with AB or what happened with Evans or Godwin or Scotty Miller. None of that matters.
Yep.
87 is on, as me and Mike have banged our chest saying this. Even I know he's more mad at Gronk than I am. When 87 is on, that's the best duo I've ever seen.
Absolutely.
Like it's just like that.
And we've seen some really good duos too.
Yeah, for sure. What you know what I'm saying? So we see some great duos up here, but it's like, it's unbelievable what they're able to do, and they're about to break another record, I think, soon. So yeah, I hope they destroy them like Indianapolis destroyed them. That's what I want to see. Forget about 45-44. I want to see what Indianapolis is. I want 40-15. That's what I want.
This Bills team is just they're such a strange football team because they should be so much better, and like but then they lose to the Titans, which the Titans are a good football team.
Right.
They shut out the Texans, but then they lose to the Jaguars. They blow out the Jets and then get blown out by the Colts. And again, the Jets are a bad football team right now, and the Colts are an above average football team for what it's worth. I mean, if we're putting it on a scale of 1 to 10, they're like a 5.75, a 6. Like the Colts aren't a bad football team. Then they go and blow out the Saints, and then they lose that dogfight to the Patriots. Now, the biggest thing, and I know we're kind of getting into the Buffalo Bills mindset here, but if he goes out and gets beat up by Tampa after getting beat up by Bill and the Patriots, I feel like he could get beat by the Panthers just because he's going to go into that game against the Panthers looking ahead to the game in New England the following weekend. You know what I mean? Like, they realistically could lose 4 in a row here. Now, they realistically could win. They could win 2 out of the next 3. They could come in here and beat New England. They should beat the Panthers. That's a good football team in Buffalo. But I think what a lot of what it is, and we just talked about how they thought they had it. They thought it was theirs. And I think that pressure's getting to McDermott because because it was like you could skate when you had it, but now you don't have it anymore. You are the 7th seed. The Buffalo Bills were the 1 seed at one point in the AFC. They are now the 7 seed. They are fighting off the bottom of the barrel for the final playoff spot with 5 weeks to go.
Yeah, definitely a tough scene. But people forget last year too. I know we were going off about it in a moment. Where Cam Newton fumbled away from them beating them in Buffalo. Cam Newton was giving them work too up there at Buffalo.
Bill always gives them work up there. Like,
no, I'm saying Cam, they couldn't even stop Cam. So and they couldn't stop Cam last year. And I said not technically, they do got better weapons right now than what we had last year. So DJ Moore, Kurt Samuels is gone, he's up in Washington, but they may mess around. So yeah, that's not necessarily it's if Buffalo should win, but like you said, it won't be a shocker if Carolina either comes into wherever the game's at, and
it's in Buffalo.
Cam has one throwback performance, whether it's with his legs or
put in PJ Walker. Let PJ Walker go beat him.
I don't care if it's Steve Berline. I just need or Jake DeLong, whoever you want to put there. Like bring back the all Carolina team. Bring back Jordan Gross. Bring all the guys back. I just need to see this team go in shambles, but it looks like they're already there in shambles, and you just love to see it. But like I said, just when you thought it was safe, we're back. Wait, I'm back.
Yeah, right.
I'm back.
Oh, sorry, Kim. Hey, I do just want to point out too that while we all thought they were kind of down and out, I don't want to leave the Miami Dolphins out of this conversation because they're still in the playoff hunt. They have 4 games left, and they are in a good position where if they can keep winning and winning the games that they're supposed to, they could overtake Buffalo for the number 2 spot in the East.
So I'll say
they're a game behind. They're a game and a half behind.
I think they will, and I'll say that. I'll put that on wax right now. I think they will. Flores clearly can coach. Tua's finally playing well. My God, and Logan Ryan, sir, really? You it wasn't like you was locked down here in New England. But come on. Tell me why I'm left-handed. I could throw 2 yards. Really? Wait, he just torched y'all. How about that? And I said by Tua standards, he's been looking like left-handed Drew Brees the last few weeks. So if that's the guy that's gonna be around, then they're going to be around because Brian Flores team is going to defend. They defend. So, and then, when you have Gesicki and, oh my God, Jalen Waddle, oh my God, this guy is phenomenal. Like, it makes me think like I really wish, and granted, he wasn't going to do this because they just wasn't going to, just give it up to us in the division. But could you imagine if we had the 6th pick and 15th, and we had drafted Waddle and they got Mac at 15? Oh my God! Or we had got Parsons at 6, and then oh my God! Like,
but we can go back and play that game. But right now,
I mean, I was on a Jaylen Waddle train. He was just someone that was hurt. Obviously.
Oh, sure.
I was like, no, he can play. He's working himself into the top 10 conversation in a few years. He's been dominant down there in Miami, so they got a good thing going down there. I do think they have a legit shot. Or I'll book it. They will become the second team in the East, and but their season comes to a tragic end when we show my age at Pro Player Stadium. No, at Hard Rock.
It was Pro Player when you were living down there.
Yeah, that's true. You're right. It was. And then it turned out. You're right. That's true.
But it's funny. It's funny you mentioned the wide receivers because here's the thing. This has kind of been the new thing in the NFL, right? So, what did Cincinnati do for Joe Burrow? They went out and got Jamar Chase. What did Miami do for Tua? They went out and got Jaylen Waddle. So who's the starting wide receiver in Alabama right now that played with Mac Jones that can come out next year and help him? That's all we got to do.
Oh, he just got hurt, unfortunately. But Jordan Jaylen Waddle, he came back and dominated. But
yeah,
my guy, John Mechie III. I'm on the bandwagon. I'm
looking at him right now.
Yeah, John Mechie III is that. Listen, man, I was upset. I felt for him that he got hurt because like I said, I am on the bandwagon. But I'm like, please, let him fall. Let teams get nervous. And I get it. They're probably not going to get nervous because they said, well, shit, Jaylen Waddle was out here, got hurt, and he came back and did well. But please, just let him keep falling. Just let him fall into our laps. Because Mac Jones and John Mechie had a phenomenal rapport at Alabama. Just go back and watch the tape. You see him catching deep bombs all the time. He's not super big, but he's quick. He's sure-handed. Like, I'm sure I turn into Mel Cooper when it comes to John Mechie III. Like, I'm a fan. I think wherever he goes, he's going to do well. Which he's probably going to fuck around and get drafted by Pittsburgh and become a legend over there.
Yeah, well, they're about to get a new quarterback too. So,
yeah. That's true. But yeah, listen, John Mechie, that's the guy. I think they got another guy that's a junior that might be coming out too. So
he's a transfer though, Johnson.
Yeah. So. Listen, whatever you can do, Bill, please. Yeah. I know drafting wide receivers is not your thing, especially that early. But I'm telling you, man, you already you got a good foundation now. Go find a way to get John Mechie III and watch Mac become even more of what we thought he was going to be or what he can be going forward. Because I think if he has those guys to get the yards after the catch, it's about to be. It's going to be a problem. It's already a problem now. How they're playing because they're top 5 in offense and defense. So imagine that.
Listen, Mac Jones's career. It's like Denzel Washington said as Herman Boone and Remember the Titans. It's like Novocaine. Give it time. It always works.
Hey, boom. Exactly.
So we've talked about the Patriots win over the Bills and kind of where the Patriots are at this point and where we see the Bills, and we even kind of give you a little bit of the Dolphins. But let's talk about this week 13 slate of games because we had some interesting games. Some interesting stuff happened this week in the NFL. The Houston Texans were shut out for the second time in 3 weeks. Or 4 weeks, and they have been mathematically eliminated from the playoffs. The first team to be mathematically eliminated from the playoffs. And that was determined prior to the Detroit Lions getting their first win this week. So the Detroit Lions were 0-10-1, and the Texans were it's such a perfect storm. It's such a perfect storm for this Houston franchise. I mean, they have a crappy owner. They have a crappy president of football operations. I won't speak poorly about Nick Caserio because I like Nick Caserio.
Should have left Nick.
Their head coach, David Culley, he's fine. I got no problem with him. I got no problem with the players either. But it clearly is a top down, and it's just unfortunately, it's fun to watch the demise of this franchise because it's They're terrible. They've never been good. They've been a franchise for 20 years, and in their 20th year, they have had to fire their head coach, bring in a new guy, bring in a new GM. Their owner and their president of football operations are both accused of and proven to be racist bigots, and they had to let go of their best defensive player, arguably in the history of the franchise, because he was tired of it. If JJ Watt is tired of it, there's a problem.
Right.
Deshaun Watson, while I still think he did something wrong, I think there's something fishy going on there.
Yep, agreed.
So it's just it's interesting and kind of fun to watch a billionaire's franchise fall as hard as the Texans have.
Yeah, that's the funniest thing. The funniest thing you said, I can't believe they were mathematically eliminated before Detroit.
Detroit can still make the playoffs, by the way.
That's fucking wild. That's wild. Yeah. Oh yeah, you said the article like the 50 different ways so that they can get that, but that's like so there's a chance, but that's wild. But listen, I'm with you. You know, they have not handled anything well. The only era they did really well, obviously, was the Gary Kubiak era.
Yeah.
And they would make it, and a little bit of Bill O'Brien before he started losing his mind.
The beginning of Bill O'Brien, because it was the team he inherited.
Right, exactly. So yeah, so they had out to 20, about 5 or 6 years, and they was like somewhat relevant or whatever. So but they always got sent home early by us or somebody else into the playoffs. So yeah, but like you said, when the talent has come through there. So Mario Williams, Davion Clowney, JJ Watt,
Brian Cushing,
Brian Cushing, right? Wendy Merciless. It's just it's amazing what's come through there, and I think about one of their corners is Jonathan something. I know he was 24.
Jonathan Joseph.
Yeah, Jonathan Joseph. There you go. Yeah, so it was just like, man, like you've had some great guys come through there, and it just hasn't mattered. I think Cooks is there now, and I feel bad for David Culley. I do. I feel bad for David Culley once again. Another situation when an African American coach comes in and they're coming to a really messy situation. Now, granted, he couldn't have foreseen, even though the Deshaun Watson was already out there by the time he took the job. I get it. If you don't get it now, you probably wasn't going to get the role, but this probably wasn't it.
It probably wasn't, but
I get it. Like you think about, okay, I got to take it, but it's just like I just wish that he could have waited maybe one more year.
I don't think it'll be held against him.
Oh no, it's not gonna be held against him, but he won't make it past next season if they have another season like that, and that's what bothers me.
If he doesn't make it though, and this franchise is as bad as they've been, you can't in your right mind, as a coach at any level, take that job. Like you just can't. I've been around college sports enough and watched enough professional football and professional sports in general. Like that franchise, I understand why he took the job. I get it.
Yeah.
And it was a crappy situation. And even when Nick Caserio went there, I even said it on an episode after Caserio went, like, I don't know what he's doing. And then he's not answering his phone when people are calling him to trade for Deshaun Watson. He's not answering his phone. People are leaving him messages and filling up the voicemail. And Nick Caserio just got there. I think there's just a directive from ownership and the higher ups, and I don't know if they're trying to liquidate assets and they're going to sell the team. But I mean, this is a problem, and it's a problem that the NFL has to address. And I know that this year they've addressed a lot of the issues with Washington, and they've addressed a lot of the issues with John Gruden, who's now suing the league, and that'll be in development for a while, but. You can't look at the Houston. I understand that there's favoritism among the owners, and while Roger Goodell is the commissioner, something a lot of people don't realize is they're like, well, why doesn't he do this to these organizations? It's because he's not in control. The owners are. He just oversees it. Now, are there disciplinary things that have to come down? Yes, absolutely. When Jim Irsay was caught in Indianapolis with a bag of cash and drugs in his car, Jim Irsay is still.
He's going to the casino. It was lit.
It's so funny because you look at and I mean funny in a faux pas kind of way, not a funny haha. But you look at Jim Irsay, the dude's actually not a bad owner. Like, he's a good owner. And his players and his organization, they love him in Indianapolis. And he's so good for the city of Indianapolis. He's done so much. But you look at something like that story, and no, McNair, the owner of the Texans, has not been caught doing the things he's been doing. And Stan Kroenke is just a terrible human being, but he hasn't been caught doing those things. But it's like, Jim Irsay is a good owner in the NFL because you have the Khans, the Kroenkes, Mark Davis is even a good owner. And I mean, he inherited the team, but this McNair guy in Houston, man, like, the NFL has to do something about him. And I don't know where that begins, but he needs to sell that team, because right now, no matter what, the Detroit Lions could have gone 0-16-1. The Houston Texans are the laughing stock of the NFL.
Facts. Well, I mean, maybe so. Not to dip into basketball, but it's relevant to the conversation. So, Neil O'Shea, who has served as the GM of the Portland Trailblazers for a while, they lost an investigation on him, and found him to be racist and had bigoted statements and the whole nine. So, I think the other day as we record this on a Wednesday, they let him go. Or as they say, relieved him of his duties.
Mutually parted ways.
Yeah, please. Yeah. No, y'all fired his ass. Say it.
Yeah, right.
Own that shit. But nah, man, I think that maybe now you launched an investigation on McNair. Like,
well, I think you
got to do something. Even you said, I know you said it was proven, but now it's like, okay. And that's why I'm so intrigued by the John Gruden thing. Like, I want dominoes to fall.
Well, it's going to be just like the Wells report. It's going to be like all these other criminal cases that have come out through sport. It's like the Epstein flight logs. Like, we're going to find out all these things about all these people that and some people are going to skate by, because there is going to have to, I shouldn't say have to be, there is going to be a level of guilty within this, right? Like, John Gruden, what he did and what he said, as I talked to a black male here, what he did and what he said was unacceptable.
Right.
But there's a lot worse things than John Gruden's emails going on in this world. And this case is going to expose those people.
Right. I just love a good scandal. So I
We're sitting here watching the Real Housewives of Atlanta.
Right. The thing is, obviously, I'm listen. I was like, wow, okay. Like I said, you guys brought it up for me. You guys were on that show right after, so I appreciate y'all for telling my joke. But his email definitely was spiderwhite2banana@gmail.com. Or Hotmail at that time. Well, maybe he's older, so it might have been spiderwhite2 AOL, right? Or a net zero, right? That's zero, dude. Yeah, well, yeah. Well, oh my God. Oh, dial
we
up
had
that
web
thing.
TV when I was growing up, and I thought it was the coolest thing when we had it. And now I'm like, Dad, what's wrong with you?
Yeah, I love it. It's great. Yeah, so yeah, I'm here for a good scandal. So if I'm John Gruden, I'm singing like a canary, and whatever you want to know.
He's got nothing to lose. You fired me already. I got
my friend Mark gave him the money. Yeah, I got my money from Mark. Cool. I'm singing like a bird. Just like Nelly Furtado. I'm singing. Whatever you want to know.
It was a lot of that money was guaranteed, and Mark Davis, the Davis family is loaded. So I'm not saying he's still getting paid by the franchise. I don't think that's what, but I can guarantee you, we cut him a check on the side or handing him a couple stacks. Like, are you kidding me? Because he didn't want to do that. Mark Davis didn't want to let go of him. Are you kidding me? And now, granted, Dave doesn't like him, and I understand why Dave doesn't like him. He's not like the greatest coach of all time. He won a Super Bowl off of Tony Dungy's coattails. Like, I get that, but man, like, they didn't want to let him go. That meeting was probably like, man, what are you doing? Like, why are you sending this stuff? Like, we have to let you go now. We have to save face. We just moved to this new city. We just moved, and we're trying. This is a sport and a world where it's very diverse, and this world is very much progressive into this world of acceptance, and that's what we have to do. And you can't be saying these things. And he didn't want to let him go, so it was like, shake my hand. Here's a couple stacks for you on the way out the door. And that none of that.
Imagine that though.
Oh yeah, because that never happens. It's like, and I'm not comparing anything, but it's like when there's like a scandal with a teacher or a police officer or something, and it's like, oh, they're on paid administrative leave. Well, great. So they're learning their lesson to sit at home and still collect a taxpayer payment. Now, granted, there's no taxpayer payment coming from the Raiders to John Gruden, but you know what the comparison is I'm trying to make. So it's just yeah. But when it comes to the Texans, there's so many bad owners in sports. Good God, are there bad? Like I get on John Henry all the time because I think John Henry's a bad owner. But when you break it down and you actually look at it, and again, Mike and Dave tell me all the time, he's really not a bad owner. No, he's not a bad owner. I think he's a bad owner because he tries to puff smoke up our ass and tell us that he's going to do X, Y, and Z, and then doesn't. Is he a good owner of Liverpool? Yeah, Liverpool. Sorry, Dave. But man, Stan Kroenke, what a piece of shit that guy is. And McNair down in Houston, and Daniel Snyder in Washington, boy,
he's got to go. He's got to be next. He's next. I'm sorry.
He doesn't have to be next now because his wife's in charge. He handed the company over to his wife, so now she's the one making all the decisions. So it's all this crap about saving face, right? I mean, that's all it is. And you know what? It's interesting because we've gone down a rabbit hole, but it actually works because I'm going to bring up the Lions now and the Ford family that owns the Lions. And so many times, whether it's in a Facebook group or on a tweet or something, this Lions team has not been good. They're a bad football team. But if you weren't a Lions fan on Sunday, unless you were wearing purple and gold and you're a Vikings fan, if you weren't a Lions fan when Jared Goff threw that touchdown, you're not a red-blooded human being. You're just not. That was so fun to watch them win and to see Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell is one emotional dude. He is an emotional teddy bear. And I love that in the NFL because he's a meathead. He is a meathead and he is emotional. He wears his heart on his sleeve. He may not be the best coach in the world, but boy, did his guys want to run through a wall for him. And but so the point was going back to owners. I've seen people say, well, they gotta, we did it. We got rid of the Lions franchise, right? When we did the banning game last year, we got rid of it.
Yep.
But people have been saying, I don't move them. They got to do this. They sell them. It's like, no, listen. Who's one of the biggest advertisers in the NFL? Ford. Who owns the Detroit Lions? The Ford family. They're not getting rid of them. They're not going anywhere. They're staying in Detroit. Detroit's a good sports town. They're staying in Detroit. They're not going anywhere. Sure, they haven't won anything since 1960, but it doesn't matter. It's a good sports town, and they still sell that place out, and they still sell tickets. But this is what it is in the NFL, is that these owners, to kind of change the tune a little bit here, these owners get this preferential treatment.
Right.
Irsay gets a slap on the wrist. The McNair thing gets swept under the rug. The Daniel Snyder thing.
Robert Kraft too.
Robert Kraft stuff. I was going to get there, but Robert Kraft stuff gets swept under the rug, and he's like, Goodell's right-hand man. And, again, the Kraft family, slightly removed from the Kraft company, but it is still a similar family. So Daniel Snyder, same thing. So they turn the team over to his wife, and they fire John Gruden because he had something to do with that whole thing. So it's just about finding the fall guy, right? Who is the NFL player that said that? Was it Aaron Hernandez that said that? Make sure you have a fall guy.
No, it was Chris Carter.
Chris Carter. Always make sure you have a fall guy. And
no, I mean he's not. He wasn't wrong, and he got backlash for that. But I'm like, no, when you're at that level, you have to, because it's like, yo, if I'm the one bringing in the money, I need to be the one that's always around. But as far as Daniel Snyder goes, like I said, I don't care I don't care if he transfers it over to his grandchildren. He needs to go. That's him next guy. Stan Clarke could be next to. I don't know all the stuff he's done, but
he's the one that basically, I don't want to say unlawfully, but he's the owner that moved the Rams out of St. Louis and basically screwed the city.
That's okay. That's what that was. Gotcha. Okay.
And the Manchester United, that's the soccer team he owns. They hate him too. They hate him. They want him out. Actually, they hate a lot of the American
that's
owners because the
crazy.
American owners in English soccer are like the Cronkies and the Henrys of the world. So it's literally just a money grab for them instead of like playing for the fans and owned by companies because they sell out to Americans and to the oil tycoons of Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, damn. That's crazy to me. So okay, that makes me madder when I think about that, even with the John Henrys and stuff. Like the fact that you're bringing in that much money, bro, that much fucking money, and you're saying, "Hey, we won't go and spend." Now, great. I'm thinking about baseball. I didn't want this guy here, but I'm just thinking you couldn't assign Syndergaard 1 year or 2 years for
Listen,
21.
I want a salary cap in baseball. This is a completely different thing. I want
Right. Yeah, we
cap
get
in-
it at the top, but it's just like we'll be back together. But it's just like what? And I disagree with that too, but we can get it. So I want the, but it's just like you have all this money. Like what? How are you complaining about paying players when the money is coming back 10 and 20 fold?
Because, well, right, it's the same reason that owners of companies don't want to pay employees more. Oh, well, then we're going to have to raise the cost of goods. No, you're going to have to cut your paycheck from 20 billion to 15 billion. Nobody needs that much freaking money. Nobody needs that much money.
What?
Nobody needs that much money. Give people a living wage. You don't have to give people $1 million, but you sitting up there in your ivory tower, you know that all of a sudden the billionaires got nothing to do, so they got to have a space race. Well, listen here, Mr. Richard Branson and Elon Musk, like get over yourselves. Like this is crap. But the point is you're right. It could
Just wait till we're paid.
yeah, right, yeah,
And
yeah,
exactly. I'm buying space.
yeah. I'm buying.
Come here, Carl.
I'm buying the
We're
Fenway
buying
group. I'm buying the Fenway group and I'm disbanding it.
Yeah, are you kidding me?
So
I love it.
But so not to get economical there, but back to football. So
Yes.
now that we've solved all the world's problems, the Buccaneers
Right.
won again this week. They beat the Falcons. The Eagles beat the Jets. Gardner Minshew is a good NFL quarterback. I don't care what anybody says. He's a good NFL quarterback, and he's got the personality to boot, and his mustache is sexy.
I love the interaction with him and his father after. I thought
That was awesome. And it was, you know what, it's so cool to see a guy like that like, you know, somebody was talking about backup quarterbacks somewhere, and it was like, you know, oh, this dude, I think they were talking about like Chase Daniel and how he's made $38 million in his career, and they're like, he makes $38 million to be a backup quarterback, and it's like, and somebody else came on and they were like a backup in the NFL. I can't remember who it was. Oh, it was Carson Palmer, Carson Palmer's brother.
Oh, Jordan Palmer.
Jordan Palmer. It was on his TikTok, and he came out and was like, you know, I was a backup quarterback in the NFL for a while, and it's not necessarily about standing there on the sideline with a clipboard, but it's about everything else you do during the week to get to Sunday as a backup quarterback. You know, and it's like I look at a guy like Brian Hoyer. I mean, Brian Hoyer was Tom Brady's right-hand man for years. Like, Brian Hoyer is a de facto quarterbacks coach. I've said this before. He's the de facto quarterbacks coach for the New England Patriots, because right now the Patriots don't have a quarterbacks coach. Josh McDaniels is listed as the quarterbacks coach on the coaching roster. So, you know, those backup quarterbacks are valuable. Now $38 million is heavy for, again, back to the economics of it. Does anybody really need $38 million? Probably not. But
Yes, I do.
yeah, right. Yes, I do.
I do, Joe. Yeah,
Chase Daniel doesn't, but I do.
I do. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Let me hang on. You know what? You just brought me back down to earth. Let me get off my soapbox here. But the point being is, it was good to see Gardner Minshew come in for the Eagles and lead them to a win. And it doesn't matter that it was over the Jets. I mean, I'm sure he's happy to be. He was winning games in Jacksonville with a bad football team. And the Eagles are not a great football team, but they got better weapons.
Right.
Cardinals beat Dave's Bears to go to 10-2. Chargers beat the Bengals. Chargers are such a weird team, but the Rams blow out the Jaguars. Washington beats the Raiders. The Steelers somehow beat the Ravens. There's another story. 38-year-old Ben Roethlisberger looks like he's done, and I think we're all just saying, thank God we knew it 3 years ago.
Exactly. Yeah, but I mean, but it also goes back to, it's like death, taxes, and the Steelers beat the Ravens. Like, Mike Tomlin just always finds a way to get this team to be both. And I feel for John Harbaugh to understand, right? Like, he knows that team is on his last leg because of injuries. And granted, I know the record doesn't say so, but you just lose Humphrey for the year. You already lost, J.K. Dobbins. You've lost so many intricate parts on that roster. So
are they 8-4 or 9-4?
No, they 8-4 because they lost. They were 8-3, they lost.
So you're right. They're kind of like limping, but they're not a bad football team.
No, they're the 2019 Pats.
Yeah, sure, okay.
Yeah, they're the 2019 Patriots. Like, started off hot. It was like, man, here we go. Let's go. We're coming right back. And then, some we go down here. You lose the game this year, and then it just kind of spirals, right? And like I said, they'll win a few more, obviously. Like, Lamar's going to be good enough to get them another win or two. But
they got a good football team. I mean, you said it before. Marquise Brown is,
right, yeah, but he's had some subpar, moments. So it's just going to be hard. But yeah. I mean, I'm glad that Ben is out of there for a multitude of reasons. But yeah, he should have been done really after we beat them in the 2017 AFC Championship game. But it's not like they really had a backup quarterback to really come in there. There's no Kelly Bax. There's no guy that can come in there, really come in and really actually play well. There's no Antoine Randall, there's no Highest Ward that can do some wide receiver trick plays. So, there's a lot of things that got to get revamped in Pittsburgh, but it's been time. So, it's time to wave the terrible towel for the last time and, kind of ride off into the sunset.
Is Ben a Hall of Famer?
Yes. Yeah. Not first ballot, in my opinion, but he definitely is a Hall of Famer. Not many quarterbacks have two, and he was considered one of the best at this position for a number of years. So never was someone who was going to put up the 40 or 50 touchdowns because they focused on the run game. That's just how it was, especially early in his career. So whether it was still Jerome Bettis, then it turned into not Amos Airways. I'm going back. Willie Parker.
Yep.
Willie Parker. Le'Veon Bell. So that's the Steelers. That's just their way of life. That they run the football. That's their identity. So, but yeah, he's definitely a Hall of Famer for sure. He's I don't know if I guess you could say him the best of that 04 class for quarterbacks. Some may say Eli. I disagree with that. I think Ben was better than Eli and Phillip Rivers. Now, I think if Phillip Rivers won one, then he would surpass both of them. I think Phillip Rivers put up the numbers those guys never did, but because he never won, he doesn't get the love that the other two did because they both won twice. But Phillip Rivers had a hell of a career.
Phillip Rivers was almost the Dan Marino of our era of quarterbacks. Yeah.
Or you just say he was another Dan Fouts, another Air Coryell type offense in this era, just putting up numbers, and you get there. I think they went to a couple of AFC Championship games under him, or at least one. I know they went to one. They lost to us in 2007, but yeah, he knocked at the door numerous times, but he got left at the altar plenty times. So, but like I said, yeah, that 04 class was a one to remember. But yeah, Ben Roethlisberger definitely is a Hall of Famer, but it just shouldn't be first ballot.
So in the NFC West, you have the Cardinals at 10-2, the Rams at 8-4, and then the 49ers lost to the Seahawks this week, who are now 4-9. Those two teams nobody wants the third place spot in that division. Right. The Chiefs come back and play a bad football game with the Broncos. That was a bad football game. I love bad football, but that was a bad football game. Right. And the Chiefs win that one 22-9. And then the Patriots rounded out 14-10 over the Bills. Again, just such an exciting season this year. It's been fun to watch. And there's been a lot of controversy, like you said, and who doesn't love a good scandal?
Hey, there you go.
So you got time to talk about the Celtics?
Absolutely.
All right, let's talk about the Celtics. From the outside looking in, I mean, you watch these guys more than I do. I'm a casual Celtics fan. I listen to it on the radio when I'm driving home from work, or I'll put it on from time to time, or I'll just pay attention to your commentary or Twitter or whatever it is. And
my
emotional takes. Yeah, your Patriots style emotional takes.
Oh my God.
From somebody that kind of is on the outside looking in. Now, granted, you are too, but you're more involved with the team in your fandom. I don't like this basketball team, and it's not from It's not from a general manager standpoint. It's not from a head coach standpoint. I think Ime is doing a good job. I think he kind of came in there, and I think Brad said to him, like, "Hey, man, this is a very tough group of players to work with." And he kind of laid down the law at first. I mean, I don't know how much suspending Marcus Smart for a preseason game really did, but I look at this team and I look at this roster, and it makes me miss the Bridgies. It makes me miss the guys that were in here getting those, 2, 3, 4 finishes in the East every year for a few years, and not quite getting there, but doing just enough to keep everybody waiting to see what was going to happen.
Right.
But now they've quote unquote turned a corner, and they're supposed to be really good, right?
Yeah.
Like, they should be the number 1 seed in the East. Well, not the number 1, but they should still be a top 4 seed in the East.
Yeah.
Based on what everybody said they were going to be. I mean, of course, you still have the Milwaukees. The Heat are still playing well.
And obviously Brooklyn and Chicago.
Yeah.
So
Brooklyn and Philly has their moments, but this team is just not. This isn't a good basketball team right now.
Yeah, I mean, right now, I mean, that's certainly they're standing at 25 games in, they're 13-12. That record is a little misleading, and the reason why I say that, so you spoke to the job that Ime Udoka's doing now. That I have to before I get into what I think about them currently, I have to go back to a few weeks. I think it was November 1st. They lost a game to Chicago. They was up 25, I think, and lost by like 20, which was and that broke me as a fan. Like, I was like, fuck them. I'm not watching. Like, you remember that I went ballistic on the chat. I went ballistic on Twitter. Like, whoever was hearing it, I was going
whoever
left
would listen.
Yeah. It was whoever would listen. I was going off, and it was just like, yo, like you can lose a game or games for that matter, because it's the NBA and everyone on that court gets paid. Everyone gets everyone works on the game in the offseason and works in practice, and really good one-on-one, really good team ball. So that's going to happen, but the fight has to be there. But I will say, ever since Marcus Smart had that press conference where he talked about when I'm moving the ball, when I'm doing this, like, they have played better, and their calling card is finally back. Really, it's the first time I've seen it since the 2015, 2016, or even 2016, 2017 year, when they even had a guy named Amir Johnson playing the 4 here, which is ridiculous that he was still a starter at that point. But once again, that's a rabbit hole show. This team defends. They guard really, really well. Now, they didn't guard well last night because the Lakers guys were just on, and that happens. Like, it's LeBron, AD,
Yeah, LeBron
Russ,
took over that
game. They're going to go off, but they defend. They lock you down. They've held a lot of teams under 100, which is really hard to do in today's NBA. It's even hard to hold teams to even 105 points, let alone scoring 90, 95. So they've done that religiously. So defensively, they're there. It's offensively that, they've had their struggles. Now, the last 3 or 4 games, offensively, they've had it. Last night against Lakers, they didn't have it right. Lakers, they showed up defensively. They just missing shots outside of out of Tatum. But, the reason why, when I talked about this with you in our pre-show meeting, the culture changes there. I see that. But my thing is, and my take that I want to make on Jaylen Brown, and I know the take that you have on JT, I'm almost out on Jaylen Brown. And it's not because of the talent. That to say that he's not a talent, that's dumb. Like, that would make me less than a casual. That would make me someone that just doesn't know basketball. Jaylen Brown as a talent is a phenomenal player. Jaylen Brown as a man is phenomenal. That's not up for debate. However, I am growing every day in more frustration with him not being on the floor. We've seen it with New England, how Bill has talked about it. Your best ability is your availability. If you cannot be on the floor, you cannot help your team. And I get that they're trying to be cautious because of things that's happened in the past with other players. I get that. We needed him last night against the Lakers. There's some other games that we've had so far that we needed Jaylen Brown out there. He changes the game for us. But if he's not going to be out there, then he doesn't need to be on the scene. So I'm at a point now, even more so before that, I talked about, maybe both of them, getting dealt. But just from an availability standpoint, it might be better off to move off of him. I don't know if the whole Portland thing works. I know that's something that's been popping up lately from Sham Charania.
Be a good spot for him.
What, trade to Portland?
It would be a good spot for him.
Yeah. I mean, to play with Dame. I mean, it's just my thing is who. If they're saying to bring back CJ, I'm sorry. I may get killed for those that listen to this and that are CJ McCollum fans. Yes, CJ McCollum can play. That's not the. But we don't need another guard that could score 20 a night. That's not what we need here. Now, if you say to me, you bring in Nurkic or, you talk about bringing in Norman Powell, who's a wing. Now we might talk with Norman Powell can shoot a three. Okay, cool. Or even Robert Covington. Cool. I'm with that. And I get it. Those names are not Jaylen Brown, so I get it. You're not going to get fair value for a guy that's an all-star, guy that can get 24 a night. I get that. But those guys stay on the floor. And at this moment, you just need to keep building around Tatum, in my opinion, with guys that are going to be on the floor. Because say what you will about Jason Tatum, he doesn't miss games. The reason why he missed games last year is because COVID took him out of there. He's available. Yeah, the attitude's got to get better, but when he's on and locked in, he's as good as anyone in this. And I think they just need to maximize what they have here, not just with him, but with the other young guys that are here as well. So, but I know you had a take on Jason Tatum, so let us have it.
Do you remember when I was 100% correct on Danny Ainge's handling of the Gordon Hayward situation?
Yep.
You remember that when Bobby and I got into it, if we were in the same room, probably would have shoved each other and maybe thrown punches. And then I was completely right. And I'm not bragging. This is just leading into my point of, I oddly tend to be right on these Celtics takes, and I don't know why. I shouldn't be. I've been wrong on the Red Sox. I've been wrong on the Patriots, not often, but I've been wrong on the Bruins. But the Celtics have been pretty good. And the biggest thing with the Boston Celtics is, remember when Kyrie was here?
Yep.
We were all like, man, generational talent, so good, but he's a cancer in the locker room.
Yep.
And then Gordon Hayward came in here, and it was, man, he got hurt. He can't do anything about it, but there's still a problem in the locker room. And they got rid of him. And not because of the problem in the locker room. They got rid of him for a lot of reasons that I'm sure that, And then Kemba came in, and there was still a problem in the locker room. I think Kemba played into a little bit of the problem in the locker room. Granted, he was still hurt and he's banged up.
Right.
Well, now we're back to the three guys that were here during that entire time.
Mm-hmm.
During the Kyrie, the Hayward, and the Kemba Walker eras of the Boston Celtics, those three guys stuck it out and are still here. By process of elimination, they still have to figure out what's wrong in that locker room. Because when there's players-only meetings, allegedly, Ime will tell you that there wasn't, but Brad will tell you that there was. So now there's a communication issue.
Yeah.
There was a players-only meeting where nothing positive came out of it that was reported, and there were apparently a shoving match or something that went on during that meeting. One of those three guys is a problem. Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum. One of the three of them is a problem.
Yep.
So which one's got to go? Because right now, I would tell you, if you looked at it, eye test, and said you can only keep one, who are you keeping?
Well, I'm keeping Tatum.
I agree with you. Yeah, I agree with you on that, because he's the available one. He's the one on the floor. He's the one that's playing. He's also arguably the most selfish player of those three guys on the court. Not in general. Just on the court.
He has to be at times, but
well, yeah, sure. But the thing is it might be time to trade away Smart and Brown. And I think we're coming up to that point, and I think you will see one of them gone by the deadline. One of them will be out of Boston, which will probably help the team. And I think we're seeing the Celtics go back into not a rebuild, but a Bridgie style move forward, because they can use the guise of new GM, new head coach, new culture, got to figure out what's going on in the locker room, because there's clearly a problem. So my point coming from what I said to start is they have to make a move, and they're going to make a move. It's just a matter of when. Who, and where.
Yep.
And I'm with you. I think they keep Jason Tatum. Now, going into this, when we talked about this at the beginning of the show, and I was originally like, hey, I had said to Ray, I'm done with Tatum. I was done with Tatum coming into this conversation. Craig had tweeted last night, every time Tatum goes to LA, you can tell he wants to be a Laker. Well, good. Send him there. I'm tired of these guys in the NFL, NBA, NFL.
It's getting there.
It is. Well, it's getting there in pretty much every sport. I mean, look at Jake DeBrusk, basically calling his shot in Boston, trying to get out of the black and gold. And he's from Edmonton. So he wants to go back to Western Canada. Great. Let him go back to Western Canada. But point is that in the NBA, we see this a lot where guys play, and you said this, every time he goes into the crypto.com center, not the Staples Center anymore. Every
Staples.
time. Yeah, right. It'll always be the Staples Center.
Always be Staples.
It's just like when Gillette Stadium was built, it was originally called CMGI Field. And my grandfather, who passed away in 2009, but for the first 7 years of that stadium, he called it CMGI Field. He refused to call it Gillette. It was the funniest thing. But besides the point, crypto.com center. But every time every time Jason Tatum goes into that building, he plays well. Mm-hmm. And Craig's right. He may want to be a Celtic. I mean, a Laker. And if he wants to be a Laker, great, send him there. Give me a first round pick and a bag of balls. If he wants to, if he doesn't want to be here, don't keep him here. That's the way I see a lot of things in sports, especially in the NBA, right? Where these guys ultimately control what goes on in this league. And we've seen it with LeBron on multiple occasions. We've seen it with Kyrie on attempted multiple occasions, tried to do it here, did it in Brooklyn. But it's at the point, Ray, where something's got to give. And I don't think Tatum's going to be the one that leaves. But if he doesn't want to be here, don't keep him. And if that means at the end of the day, getting rid of Smart, Tatum, and Brown and starting over from square one, then let's do it.
Yeah, I think that might be in case of emergency break glass situation with all three of them being gone, and I think that's something that could happen. Because anything is possible in that regard. But I think but I do think. I mean, even though Marcus Smart also has played better since he called up the team, he's also played better. He's not jacking up shots the way he used to. But I do think, like, even getting Horford back has been huge.
Yeah, Anna's been great.
Yeah, her too. And, they've been awesome. Anna was still waiting for you to come on the show.
That's right.
You said you would get back to us, but anyway, love you anyhow. But I will say, and we can end after this, the Indiana Pacers are looking to blow it up. So they put Turner on there on the block, Sabonis on the block.
Remember when we should have had Miles Turner?
Yeah. I mean, but I'm fine with that. Like, he came back, so I'm cool with that. But at the moment, yeah, absolutely, we should have had both of them. But because to me, and once again, I know there's going to be Celtics fans listen to this. If Indiana said, "Give us Marcus Smart for Malcolm Brogdon," I would be on the immediately.
I'd ride
now.
I'd ride on the plane with Smart.
Yeah, right now. Like, hey, like, listen, with a sign, like, listen, because Malcolm Brogdon defends just as well as Marcus Smart. He shoots better than Marcus. Him and JB are really good friends. Him and Jaylen Brown are really cool. So to me, I just think that would be great. I love Sabonis as well. So if we had to give up Horford, Smart, and either Pritchard or Nesmith or Langford, one of those three guys, or Grant Williams.
Pritchard, Bob, what would Bobby do?
Hey, listen, this Malcolm Brogdon and Turner would be an upgrade. Once again, I like Pritchard. Pritchard was that game against Portland the other night. He was great, but he's for whatever reason he's in Ime's doghouse, and I don't know what's happened behind the scenes. He just hasn't played, and I don't know if Ime saw how Greg Popovich dealt with Tony Parker, and maybe that's how he's working with. Excuse me, that's something he's doing with Pritchard, and I'm like, I don't know, but I'm like, Pritchard can play. We saw him the other night. I'm like, yo, he's someone that can score in bunches, so you need that instant offense. So the fact that you had a 21-point guy whenever you want off the bench, and you just sending him, that's a coaching thing, right? That he needs to get better with those rotations. But yeah, if they were offering Brogdon or either Sabonis or Turner or even Levert, who Levert off the bench for us would be great. Dennis Schroeder's been great, but Karis LeVert at 6'7", coming off the bench, who can easily get 20 a night and can start. If Jaylen Brown and Tatum are out, that's the type of stuff we need to look into. But I just don't know what Brad wants to do, but something's got to give, like you said, and we'll see. But whether it's December 15th, which is next Wednesday, 'cause that's when you can start trading players that you just signed or traded for, or maybe the trade deadline in February. But whether it's a minor tweak or a major tweak, we got to see some change here in Celtics Nation.
I think the Celtics are going to play for a playoff spot. I don't think they care which one it is, and I think we're going to see core players leave. I think we're going to see core players stay. I think we're going to see a lot of, I think the Celtics team is going to move around. You have a new GM, a new head coach. They brought it in. They're now evaluating and seeing what works for Ime and what works for Brad in their current positions, and they'll act accordingly. I'm with you. I've been calling for Marcus Smart to be traded for a while. So, but then one of the other two guys, I think you're right. Jason Tatum is the guy to keep around, but serious, like if he goes out to LA and wants to ball out there, but can't walk into the Garden, and ball out here, he does. But it was a different energy last night, and I turned.
Yeah, it's a Kobe thing though. I think that Kobe was his favorite player. We all know that, and I just think he since Kobe passed away, I think he's made a pact to himself saying, every time I come into this building, I'm going to dominate.
Well, why doesn't he just play that way everywhere?
Well, Pierce did the same thing.
Well, why doesn't he just play that? Like, why does it have to be the building that Kobe built? Why does it have to be that building? And I understand this because he's his favorite player, right? Like, if I'm a professional athlete and Peyton Manning was my favorite player, like, yeah, sure. Every time I go into Lucas Oil Stadium, I might play with a little more heart than everywhere else. But man, why aren't you just playing like that for Kobe all the time? Kobe was the best of all time, and he was great to the young guys, and I'm sure, and I know he knew him just from coming up through the ranks and playing in the NBA, and he knew Kobe, and that's great. I have no qualms with their relationship or how he wants to play, but man, what do you just do that every night? Just do that. Yeah. I'm so sick and tired of it. NBA players, especially, sitting out and picking and choosing the games that they play, and like, what, tomorrow I don't want to go into work tomorrow, so I'm just gonna hang out. Maybe I'll go. Yeah, I'm just gonna sit there and like everybody else around me can work, and I'm just gonna hang out because I just don't feel like doing it today. It's just it just gets frustrating to me. But in a vacuum, to the Jason Tatum thing, man, just play like that in all 30 venues. Just play like that in every single one of them, man. Like, go out and honor Kobe by playing that way every single night in every single arena in the country, and this team will be better for it. This organization will be better for it. So
absolutely.
So if he wants to go into that building and play like that because Kobe was his guy, maybe that does mean he wants to be a Laker. Trade him, send him. First round pick and a bag of balls.
Yeah, listen, Brad Stevens would be his tires, amongst other things, would be slashed if he.
Oh yeah, he'd have to be on the first train back to Indiana.
Tatum would have to walk and go to LA. Like, you can't trade him there. You'd have to leave via free agency and say, you know what, I've enjoyed my time here in Boston, but it's time for me to. That's how it has to happen.
Or you spin it that he asks for a trade.
Right. Well, right. But I'm saying, but you can't trade him. Like, you can't. Okay, put it like this: you can't willingly do it. It's one thing if he says to you, "Hey, these are the few teams I go to." Fine, whatever, that happens. That's what the NBA players do. But you can't willingly say, "Okay, we'll trade him to LA." But at the same time, the guy that his predecessor, so to speak, Paul Pierce is from Inglewood. He's from LA. Paul Pierce used to kill the Lakers in every building. I mean, in the Staples Center in his career. So maybe that's just what it is, right? Huh?
Crypto.com center.
Yes. Yeah. And crypto.com. So maybe
I may be off base on
this, right?
I may be off base on it. Like, it may just be because
you're not off base. Like, there's moments where he takes, even though he's on the court, but there's some nights when he takes a night off, in my opinion. The defense has gotten better. His playmakers got better, which has been thing that's kind of been a weakness in his first 2 years. So now it's like, okay, we need nights where it just all comes together. Last night it came together. They're in the same building tonight because they're playing the Clippers.
Right.
As I said, we record this on a Wednesday, so he might miss on have 40 tonight after this drops. He might have 40 tonight.
See, but that's the other thing too. Is like, if Kobe's his guy, is he going to play different in that building because he's playing the Clippers than if he's playing the Lakers? You know what I mean? Like
he did last year. He dropped 4 when I know.
That's true. Yeah. I remember that.
But yeah, the game 2 years ago, I was like, he hit what should have been the game winner on Paul George, and then things happened. But yeah, Paul George, as good as he is, can't guard him, and they traded some other guys that could kind of guard him, but there's no one on that team that could guard. Let me just be real. There's no one in the league that can guard him when he's hot. Period. He's 6'9". His shot doesn't get blocked. The only thing with him, or my only concern with him, just keep driving to the basket. I don't care if you're in Saskatchewan. I don't care if you're in Turkey. I don't care if you're in Perryfield Gym, which is where just don't. I don't care where you are. Just keep driving to the basket. And if he gets to the free throw line, then something's got a chance to win a lot of games.
So you can't defend me and Ray either. You can only hope to contain us. Thanks for joining us on this episode of Missing the Point. That is all we have to say about the NFL owners, the New England Patriots, and the Boston Celtics. So for Rayshawn Buchanan, I'm Joe Malkin. That's my cat. This has been Missing the Point. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend and a bye week for the Patriots. And the MTP, we'll talk at you next week.
If you're a working professional wondering what's next for your career, you've come to the right place. Whether you're looking for a promotion, growth, or a potential career transition, look no further. With over 30 years working in a variety of industries, I share my insider knowledge with those ready to get ahead on Career Advancement with Craig and Sal. Tune in to get your strategies for success.
Are you a fan of classic cinema or a young person who wants to discover the best films of all time? Do these legendary movies still hold up?
On the Generation Film podcast, two guys who grew up when movies dominated the culture share a great film with a panel of young movie lovers and see how it plays for today's generation.
We discuss changes in storytelling styles, representation,
the making of each film, its initial reception, and how its meaning has changed over the years.
Join us as we explore cinema classics across generations on Generation Film.
Electric acid.